Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hoge, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
Hi, I'm AJ Hoge, the author of Effortless English. Learn to speak English like a native. And the father of the effortless English system that trains you to speak English powerfully, speak English fluently, and indeed speak English effortlessly because you think in English. When you train with my VIP program, you commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com, effortlessenglishclub.com. Go there and commit. Commitment is the key. Commit. effortlessenglishclub.com. Okay, continuing with our topic of true education, real education. What we have around the world mostly now is fake education. Fake schools, we could call them. The factory education, the factory school approach everywhere in the world. We talked about the three parts, the three essential, meaning very, very important parts of a true education, a full education, a total education. Body, spirit, and mind, all three. Now, this is not a new idea. In fact, this is a very, very, very old idea that was understood very well in the past. Going back hundreds and thousands of years, people, cultures, societies, nations, kingdoms all around the world understood this. Body, spirit, and mind, all three important. Not just knowledge, not just memorizing facts. They understood that the spirit was right at the center. And they also understood that the physical body was also important. One example, the ancient Greeks understood this very well. They celebrated physical health and fitness. They made this part of their, system of education. Even their philosophers taught that the body was very, very important. Physical health, physical fitness, physical vitality, meaning healthy energy, even physical beauty. Very much an important part of life, and therefore a very important part of education. Over in the East, in India, the same thing. We have, the whole system of yoga, for example. Now, in the modern West, the modern world, I should say, people think yoga, they think it's just some physical stretching exercises, but in fact, yoga is a system that has traditionally 8 parts, and most of it's focused on the spiritual side of development, training, education, especially meditation. But the part that most people know, the one part that people know, are the system of exercises. But those are also important. So again, the ancient Indian culture and societies understood the importance of all three of these. You have to train the mind and study and knowledge and skills, of course. The spirit, very, very important, with primarily meditation and also prayer. Prayer and meditation would be the two main parts of that, but also religious and spiritual education, and then the body. So again, they also had a system of physical exercises, and they were seen as connected, right? But in our modern schools, the body, health, fitness, and vitality are neglected, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is just the body. It seems strange because most teachers now don't talk about health or fitness or the body. Certainly not English teachers. Science teachers don't really talk about it. Math teachers don't talk about it. Most teachers, most educators don't even talk about the body unless they're a coach or something, but most don't. It's seen as not important. It's seen as not part, like it's not part of education. But the fact is, it's a very important part. Our bodies are neglected in schools, but not only school. It's not just education, it's also work. Also work. Businesses also neglect this, avoid this. So that, again, you have the situation of employees, let's say in an office situation, sitting on their butt, sitting in a chair all day long, looking at a computer. Their bodies get zero exercise, zero health, right? So these businesses, so it's as adults in the work world, physical health is also completely forgotten. That's supposed to be something that's just, you do in your private time. And in schools also. The results are terrible. As I've mentioned many times, my own country is probably the worst. The United States, the health crisis is absolutely terrible. But it's happening really everywhere in the world. When I travel, I can see it happening. Health is going down in most countries in the world. America's the worst. But, Britain is also horrible. Mexico's really terrible. Canada's really terrible. And then you've got other countries that are also getting worse. They're not getting better in terms of public health, right? Most people's health and fitness is not getting better. It's getting worse in general. When we think of schools, what do we think of? Students sitting at a desk. Lots of little kids, like 20 to 30, maybe more, sitting in a room almost all day. Sitting, looking at the teacher at the front, taking notes, hardly moving their bodies at all. Very little movement. Also, nutrition. Again, I don't know about other places in the world, but in America, the school lunches, for example, the cafeterias, the lunches, they serve garbage food. Terrible food. Very, very, very unhealthy food they give to the children. For a long time, even when I was a kid, I can remember. Back when I was a child in school, even then, the lunches, right, the meals at school were terrible. Very unhealthy. Lots of sugar, lots of greasy junk, cheap foods, really bad, low quality. Of course, it's much, much, much worse now. Most schools do not teach about nutrition at all, good, healthy foods. But when they do, at least again in the United States, they teach lies. They teach absolute lies. They changed it. When I was a kid, they used to talk about 4 food groups. So meat and dairy, fruit and vegetables, I think it was. Now they have this thing called a pyramid, and they teach that carbs, carbohydrates. So this is things like pasta, bread, things like that. They teach that is the most important. That's the main food most people should be eating, which is a disaster. Since they started teaching that, Americans have gotten super fat. Carbs and sugar are poison. They're poison. Now, in the past, some of those carbs were more healthy. For example, bread. 100 years ago, bread was much healthier. It was natural. It was not made in factories and super processed. They did not take out all the nutrition from the bread, from the wheat. But now they do. Now it's mostly just like eating glue. It's not healthy. It's very unnatural. So the kids are not getting any kind of real nutrition education. They don't know what's healthy, what's not healthy. And they're getting basically zero exercise, or almost zero. And then, of course, this continues, as I mentioned, in work. Why is this important? Why is this important for education specifically? We all know health and fitness are important, but why for education? Well, our body, what is it? It's our vehicle. You can think of it, it's like our vehicle in this life, right? Your mind, your awareness, your consciousness, your soul are like they're in the body. The body's like the vehicle. And just like if you buy a car is a vehicle, right? It's kind of vehicle. If you buy a car, well, what should you do? If you want your car to be reliable, if you want your car to be useful, you have to take care of it, right? You maintain it. You change the oil. You fix the little problems when it has problems. You maintain it. And if you maintain it well, then that car will serve you reliably. It will serve you very well. Well, it's exactly the same thing with our bodies. We also have to maintain our bodies as best we can. When your body is maintained, it gives you a maximum number of years with good energy, good health, without lots of pain, without lots of diseases and problems. This is important for learning too, right? Because when you're very healthy and you have good fitness, you have higher energy. You have better concentration, better memory, and better learning. The physical body, absolutely affects your ability to concentrate and learn. Now, if you're sick, it's not impossible to learn, of course not, but it requires a lot more motivation, a lot more effort. The healthier you are, the easier it is for you to learn. And this is especially important for children. But it continues, of course, for our whole life, for all of our lives. Now, for kids, this is especially true. Now, kids, look, I've been around a lot of kids, okay? Well, maybe you have too. One of the main characteristics of a healthy child, they are super, super energetic, very, very, very high energy. Okay, it is normal, 100% completely normal for a child to be moving their body all day long, from when they wake up until they go to sleep. And in between, never stop moving. Okay, that's normal. That's good. That's a sign of good health. It's a sign that they are normal. It's very natural. All my little nieces and nephews, they're like this. They're always moving and they're always curious. That's the other thing. It's very normal for them to be mentally active, high mental energy too. So they have high physical energy, meaning they want to jump and run and play and roll around and constantly move. But then the other part is they have very high mental energy. This is, again, very, very natural, 100% natural, that they are very curious, that they're constantly, what's this? What's this? They're constantly asking questions. They see something new immediately. They want to go over, they want to pick it up, they want to look at it, they want to maybe break it, right? And that this is constant. What's this? What's this? What's this? Constantly their attention jumping around because they want to explore. Okay, this is, again, very, very, very natural for them to want to explore, because remember, for little kids, everything is new. Things we think are just boring, things for us that are normal and boring, we have seen them 1,000 times. We don't think about it. But for them, maybe it's the first time. So bugs, little bugs, an ant, a bug, a caterpillar, a fly, bzzz, flying around the room. Can be very, very interesting. And immediately, oh, what's that? And they want to immediately go and look at it and see it, maybe grab it. They're really curious. This is normal. And then they see something else. Now what's that? So for their concentration to be jumping around a lot, for them to want to explore and ask questions and constantly do this every single day, all day. Again, totally normal. Not only normal, very, very healthy. And yet what? In schools now, in our evil factory schools, these two things now, more and more and more, are labeled, are called a disorder. Something wrong. Why? Why do they say there's something wrong with the child who's constantly wanting to move and jump and play and crawl around and run around, who does not want to sit in a chair all day? Why do they say that there's something wrong with them? They're hyperactive, they say. Hyperactive means too active. Or attention deficit disorder means they can't concentrate. It's a lie. And 99.9% of the time, it's a lie. Why, though? Why is this suddenly a problem in schools? Well, simple. It makes the teacher's job harder, right? Because sitting on their butt all day in a room with 30 children or more, or maybe a little less, that's what's unnatural. That's totally unnatural. It's a very unnatural situation. The kids are forced to do that. No child chooses to do that. They're forced to do that, and the ones who are the most natural, the most energetic, they don't want to do it, and they'll start to break the rules. They'll get up, they want to run around, they want to play, they want to throw a ball, they want to do something like that. And of course, the teachers don't like that. Teachers don't like it because it disrupts the class, right? It causes problems in the class because they're being loud, they're running around. It makes the teacher's job very, very, very difficult. But the teachers, what's good for the teachers is for the kids to all be sitting there super quietly all day long, just listening and doing what they are told. But that is unnatural, and in fact, it's very unhealthy. The same problem with mental energy. They'll say, oh, there's something wrong with a child because, after 10 minutes, after 20 minutes, they get distracted. They want to look at something else. They want to, their attention moves to something different. Wrong. It's also totally natural. Especially because most of the things in school they're teaching them are boring. Super boring compared to the real world, the natural world. What do you think a child would rather do? Watch a grasshopper? Or listen to the teacher talk about, I don't know, grammar rules or some history lesson or basic math? The grasshopper is far more interesting, of course. But they try to force these kids to just sit all day listening to this abstract information. Abstract means it's not real, right? You can't touch it, you can't feel it, you can't see it. It's just ideas in the mind. Abstract knowledge, of course, is very useful. But it's more useful and it's easier to learn at older ages. Teaching a lot of abstract knowledge to very young children is crazy. Also, we have to remember abstract knowledge, for it to be true, for it to have some kind of truth, and also to be useful, it should have a connection to the real world, to our real life experience somehow. You know, Richard Feynman, he's a famous physicist, was a Nobel Prize winner. In his book, he talked about this. He said, he said the problem with science education in many places in the world, most places in the world, he says the problem is they focus too much on the abstract, the book knowledge, and they totally ignore, or almost totally ignore, the real world. And he's like, great physicists are interested in the real world. That's where the science starts. They see something, they observe something, they have a question about the real world, and then they try to figure out what's happening and why. So even this great scientist, he said exactly the same thing. Of course, abstract knowledge and mathematics and all of that it's useful and important, but it's not the only thing. And it has to come, naturally it should come after the real world natural exploration. Especially young kids, they've got to be exploring the real world. Don't read a book about grasshoppers. Go watch them and study them, then read the book after. See, that's the way it works naturally. The best way to do it, you'll notice this with children. Let them find something in the real world first and get excited about it and get curious about it and explore it and look at it and study it in the real world with their eyes, with their ears. And then what happens? Then they get very curious and they start to ask questions. Then they want to know more. Where do the grasshoppers come from? Do they have parents? Where do they live? What do they eat? That's the time. Let's see. Let's get some books now, and then we can find out more. And then what happens? So you read all the books about, what do they eat? Oh, they come from eggs, all this stuff. Then what? Then you go back to the real world again. Let's go watch them some more. Maybe we can find their eggs. Or maybe we could keep one, get a grasshopper and keep them and see if we can watch their whole life cycle, right? And so it's a back and forth, always keeping that connection to the real world. So important, especially with the younger kids. And that's all the way up to high school, really. But really for all of us, that's real education in general. We should never lose contact with the real world. But school does. So what I'm saying is then, this is the other thing. They'll say attention deficit disorder means they don't have enough attention. It's the other thing that the schools like to label for the kids. But there's nothing wrong with most of those kids. They just are bored by the abstract bullshit of school because it's unnatural, especially at their age. It's interesting because those same kids, they supposedly have attention deficit, right? But those same kids will have no problem focusing on some things in the real world that excite them in their regular life. Outside school, they have no problem focusing on things that are interesting to them. So it's not really a problem of attention. The problem is they're bored in school because it's unnatural. And the longer this goes, making them sit. Of course, they've got all this energy, so much energy. They want to be out running and jumping and wrestling and playing and throwing balls and playing games. They want to be exploring and looking at the natural world and everything they can find. They want to look and ask questions and instead sit in this chair for 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day. Sit in the chair and listen to somebody go blah, 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 talk. Then read some boring textbook with some stupid little pictures in it about stuff they've never seen, they've never experienced. It's neglect. It's neglect of their mind, but it's a neglect of their body too. And then so you can see the training, because then this continues as adults. Because again, when we look at most work situations, same problem. The adults are just, in an office environment, we call it white-collar work, office work. What happens? They're just sitting on their butts all day, same thing. Often doing very boring work. Even in a manufacturing job, we call this blue collar. Many blue collar jobs too are boring, right? If you're working in a factory, maybe you're just standing in one place at one machine all day long doing exactly the same thing. It's also not natural. It's not healthy physically. For true education, for natural education, we've got to bring back the physical. This has to be a very important part of it. I mentioned again, body, spirit, and mind. We have to have all three, and we have to do them in the most natural, healthy way possible. And this is for children, especially, of course, and also for adults, and even for ourselves as we learn independently. This is why, for my VIP members, I'm always telling my VIP members, walk while you're listening to the VIP lessons. It's great. You've got the VIP lessons. This is why I made them audios mostly. I used to do more videos, and I decided, you know what? No, I think audio's better because I want you to be up moving. That's my first choice for you. When you're listening to VIP lessons, I would like you to be walking. You can stand up in the room if you're inside. You can just stand up in your room and maybe walk in a circle. That's okay. It's better than sitting. Even better, go outside, go for a little walk, go to a park, walk around and listen to English. Listen to those VIP lessons. Or just walk on the street of your town or your city. Your blood gets moving. Heart gets a little exercise, you get more oxygen, more air coming into your body, right? And because of that, your brain works better, you're more awake, more aware, you're less likely to feel bored, you're less likely to feel tired or sleepy, your concentration will be better, your memory will be better, you'll learn faster, you will improve faster. It's good for you. That's a simple thing you can do. Super simple. Walk whenever you can. Walk as you listen to the VIP lessons. Coming back, however, to education. What would it be? How could we do more physical education, right? Physical education. Body. For children and adults, what would this involve? I believe it'd be 4 things. Minimum. Number 1, breathing. Breathing exercise, deep breathing every day. There are many ways to do this, but basically doing deep breaths every day. As an adult, I encourage you to do this. We should be teaching children to do this also. There are lots of ways you can do it. One nice little system is to do something like, breathe in, counting to 8. So breathing in 8, 8 seconds, something like that. Then hold your breath for 4 seconds. And then let out for 16. And then just repeating like that. 8, 4, 16. 8, 4, 16. 8, 4, 16. Why? This is kind of a yoga technique. It started with yoga. Lots of people use this kind of thing. Some people have different numbers, but 8, 4, 16 is a nice one. It just forces you to breathe in nice and deeply. And then it forces you to breathe out completely. So you're getting all that old carbon dioxide, right? All the used air. You're really getting it out. Doing that for 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes a day. Deep breathing. Now that's a great thing. Kids could do that in the classroom. Kids could do that several times during the day. You can do this during the day, during your work, wherever you are. It's very easy to do. Deep breathing just gets, better oxygen into your brain. It's energizing. You'll feel your energy go up a little when you do this. The second part of physical education that's very important is calisthenics. Calisthenics just means body weight exercises. Body weight. So using your body weight. You don't need to use weights. No weightlifting. Weightlifting's fine. It's great, especially, as people get older. But I think for kids and really for people of all ages, calisthenics, traditionally through history, body weight exercises were used for both strength and flexibility. So again, teaching this starting at a very young age to children, just the basic calisthenics. Push-ups, pull-ups, handstands, squats, maybe some sit-ups. Really, that's enough right there. And do those every day. There are many different ways, many plans you can do it, how many to do, which days. But basically, though, calisthenics. And again, as an adult, I encourage you also to do the same. Some system of calisthenics. I would call yoga, what's called, hatha yoga, just the physical yoga, is a system of calisthenics also. And of course, as an adult, you could also add in different kinds of, weightlifting, kettlebells, things like that, if you prefer. But I think in general, for general education, teach calisthenics. Teach good technique and teach this as kind of a lifelong practice. For strength and flexibility both. The third part of a physical education would be some kind of slow burn, I call it, right? Cardio exercise. Now again, there are many ways to do this. I think the simplest one would just be something like walking and hiking. Walking and hiking every day. Now, as an adult, do that. But even for kids, I believe kids should be out, take them all for a walk. Take them for little nature walks. Take them for little hikes around, town, and through a park, whatever. Moving for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. I think an hour, at least. And it's, again, a lifelong practice. Physical maintenance, physical health. Number 4, this is all in the fitness still area, play. This is maybe the most important one. Play. Play just means it's not structured. It's not organized, right? Calisthenics, that's an organized kind of exercise, right? There's a specific technique. You're doing a certain number each time. Same with, walking or hiking or jogging or bike riding, right? It's kind of a little more organized. You've got a specific time or a specific distance that you're trying to do. But play just means just anything. Just whatever you want to do. Play includes games, any kind of physical games. Kids, of course, do this naturally. All kinds of games they like to do. Running around, jumping with balls and whatever. Kids will make a game from anything. Sports, more specific sports types games. But mostly they're just loose and free. Loose and free. This is a time to just have fun. Doesn't have to be difficult, doesn't have to be organized. In fact, should be the opposite. Because this is also good for your brain too, just to play, just to run and jump and play and have fun. And by the way, I also think it's important for adults. I think adults also need to have this kind of playful physical activity. Play some game. Now it might be something like golf, it might be tennis. It might just be playing around with your kids, chasing your kids around. That's fun. But I think we need that. And ideally we need it every day. So those 4 things for fitness. And then of course, the other part of this would be some kind of nutrition education. Like learning about, what is healthy food and what's not. And how to cook, how to make healthy dishes. This is a basic life skill that should be part of education. If you don't get it from school, like me, if you didn't learn any of this yourself in school, then you've got to learn it as an adult independently. And you have to teach your children these things. For true education, these things should be done all through the day, not just one time, not just an hour a day. Even, when I was a kid, we had maybe 1 hour per day to play. They called it recess. So after lunch, it wasn't an hour, actually. It was less than an hour, now that I think of it. But we had a time where we could go out to a playground and run around. It was probably more like 30 minutes, actually. But that's nothing. 30 minutes a day, that's nothing. It really should be all through the day having physical activity. I mean, the best thing to do is to combine it with the learning, right? To combine mind, spirit, and body, to do them all at the same time. As I mentioned just now, for VIP members, right? To walk while you're listening to your English lessons, while you're learning. Well, we can also do this with kids, right? Have them moving their bodies, maybe, again, something simple like just a relaxed walk while they're listening to the teacher. Or get them outdoors, get them outside studying nature for, science type activities. and let them crawl around and move while they're doing it, so they're not just stuck in a chair the whole time. So they're learning, they're using their minds, or training their spirits, and getting some physical exercise at the same time. Now, next best, sometimes that's not possible, but the next best is just to alternate. So in other words, maybe sometimes they do need to sit down and just focus and study, just kind of working on their minds, just mental work, but don't do it for too long. Even for adults, don't do it for too long. But for kids especially, maybe you've got 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes of really focused mental work. Then you need something physical. Then they should get up and start jumping around, play some physical game, go outside, go for a run, even just 15 minutes. I do this myself. Anytime I teach adults, but anytime I teach English, like a seminar, for example, about every 30 minutes, sometimes a little longer, I make the class jump. Often I'll have, we'll be in a room with lots and lots of people, so it's not possible to run. We can't go outside. We're stuck in a room. So we just dance. We do a dance and jump break. So we'll play music, we get everybody dancing around, and then we'll just jump, up and down, as high as possible, using as much energy as possible, yelling, hands over our heads, really using our bodies, moving our bodies. It energizes the body, it's healthy, it's great for the mind. And after we do those breaks, then the audience, the class, is always much more awake, much more alive, feeling great, and then they learn better, they focus better, they enjoy listening to me more. Then they sit down, they listen to me talk. After about 30 minutes or so, I can see their energy dropping, and so we do it again. Music, jumping, that's the minimum. At least do that. And with kids, same thing. At least get them jumping up and down inside the classroom. Maybe we could play lots of physical games and things, but ideally get them outside for, even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes. And then come back in, do some more mental work or some spiritual work. Then something physical again, right? Alternating constantly. So it's a constant thing all through the day. They're getting that. And then, of course, when they get home, don't give them homework. I am against homework. At home, when they go home from school, they should be outdoors, running around, exercising for hours until they have to go home, until it's dinner time. They should be running and jumping and playing as much as possible after school. That would be a much healthier system of education for the body. Your body is vital, is super, super important for education. Very important. Your body is vitally important for education. And that includes for your English learning right now as an adult. So don't neglect it. Even you right now, I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 70. Move your body. You got to get some kind of physical activity going for your health. But also, it will help your English. I know it seems strange. No, English teachers never talk about this, but I'm telling you that taking care of your health, exercising, moving your body, especially doing it while you listen to VIP lessons, will help you improve faster. It will improve your English learning. Just trust me. Try it. Try it. Try it for 6 months. Again, like I always say, try it for 6 months. Effortless English is a total education system. That's why I teach this. It's not just about vocabulary words. It's not just mental. That's why I'm always teaching about spiritual topics also. It's why I also teach about physical topics and physical health and physical fitness, because they're all connected. That's what real education is. And I think, real math education, same thing. Real math education should also involve the spirit and the body. Real science, any kind of education should involve these three if it's going to be true education. Really human, really deep. And finally, just a message for parents out there. If you have a super energetic child, Your super energetic child is healthy and natural. They are healthy and natural. They are healthy and natural. There's nothing wrong with them. There's something terribly wrong with the school system. But a super energetic, super curious child who gets distracted easily because they're curious about everything, they want to constantly do new things, and they want to constantly be jumping around and moving and running, they are healthy and natural. Join my VIP program. Commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. After you commit to my VIP program, walk around or move your body as you listen to the lessons. You can jump up and down in your room if you want to. There are many ways to do it, but move your body while you listen to those VIP lessons. Every time, if possible. It will help. You'll learn faster. The lessons are better. They work better. They're more powerful when you move while you listen. All right, again, commit to my VIP program now at effortlessenglishclub.com. Commit, keep going, don't quit. Commit, don't quit at effortlessenglishclub.com.